Thank you, Jesse and Jeffrey. We appreciate that. And I appreciate you all being here. And in this moment right now, I invite you to just relax. If you feel so inclined, take a couple of nice, deep breaths, filling your lungs with cool, calming oxygen. And as you release those breaths, release all stress and tension. Release any worries or doubts or anxiety right now. Anything that's going on in life, just let it go. It'll be there later. Allow your body to just relax in this moment. And allow your mind to be here, now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words: I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This could be a friend, a family member, a teacher or a mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room with me this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your lives.
It is our Creative Life's anniversary month every October. We will be celebrating 37 years as a spiritual center. 39 years since the idea was conceived. It had a 2-year gestation period. Actually, it rolled out as a study group with 2 people, Jerry Martin and me. He was a classmate of mine and practitioner too, and we decided to start a study group. We were down in the southwest part of town where we live, and we decided to start something somewhere else around the city and close our eyes and point it to a map or something like that, you know, and hit the north side, and the rest is history. In October of '85, we chartered as what was then called a church. It's now a spiritual center, but back then it was a church of religious science in the denomination, the United Church of Religious Science, now known as Centers for Spiritual Living. What has not changed is the teaching. And so this is what we're revisiting every Sunday. And you may not know this, but believe it or not, we're serving more people now than ever before. They're just not sitting in the room on Sunday. Gradually, I see some of you come creeping back. We haven't seen in 2-3 years. We look around the door kind of furtively, you know, come in here. And we picked up some new friends in the room, but a lot of friends online who are watching today. And I thank you wherever you are. And those of you who are out of town, who every Sunday have taunted us all summer with your nice weather, while it's been 108 here, we taunt you back today, because it doesn't get prettier than this. And while we're speaking of weather, our thoughts and our good knowing are with the people of Southwest Florida, particularly Fort Myers, Cape Coral area, south of Tampa, Sarasota, in there. If any of you are watching online and you need to talk to somebody, there's something we can do for you, let us know. We're trying to reach out to the centers that are down there, but they had not, at last report, been allowed back to their neighborhoods to see what was what. So, okay, so what I have for you today, I sound like a waiter, don't I? What we have for you today is a delightful little, it's a series called Stay Astonished. And this is the invitation: stay astonished. You want to have a happy, fulfilled life, stay astonished. When you lose that capacity for astonishment, you become jaded. Everything has been around before. I saw this coming. It's no surprise. It's fall. It's my birthday, it's the holidays, it's what, and we just kind of shrug it all off like, well, it's just, and then we want, why is everybody else having enjoyment and excitement in life and I'm not? It's a matter of judgment. We judge things. We say it's more important for me. You've heard this can be put multiple ways, but one way it's put often is we think it's more important to be right than to be happy. We think it's more important to be clever than to be bewildered. And it was Rumi, Jalaluddin Rumi, I think, or Hafiz, I get them confused in their work, but it was one or the other of them said, sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. There's another line crossing my mind now from Harvey, not the storm, the play with the big Elwood P. Dowd and the big rabbit. Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. He has a drinking problem, Elwood P. Dowd, and he sits in this bar night after night with an invisible 8-foot rabbit sitting on the stool next to him, which everyone who knows him, he's such a nice guy, they pretend like they see the rabbit too. And it's a wonderful comedy and all kinds of things fall out. But he says in kind of a bleary state, he says to the bartender one night, my mother told me one time that I could be clever or I could be pleasant. And I chose pleasant. I thought, isn't that nice? Yeah, pleasantness as a way of life, it has its downside too, because there's a time when you have to say no. There's a time when you have to, take stock and stand up and be real and all of this. But by and large, it really works. Well, astonishment is becoming as a little child. And you've heard this biblically, and you've heard it from me and all of our speakers here, and Reverend Arthur, I can hear him saying it. To enter the kingdom of heaven, you must become as a little child. And what does that mean? How are children? How are children? In many different ways the children are, but we think that what the great teacher was speaking about there was children are surprised and astonished and delighted with the simplest of things. They look around. Right? Do you have kids? Okay. Were you a kid? When you were a little kid, you could make a toy out of anything, couldn't you? If somebody plopped you down, I don't know, here, you'd find something. You'd be fascinated with things for a while. I mean, not, you'd get bored after a point, but then what you'd do is you'd move to another part of the room, and that would fascinate you, and that would fascinate you, and every new person and every new adventure. Now, this sounds too easy, but the best things are simple. To become astonished in life is to see the magic in life. And what I want to share with you today of a textual nature, we're going to get into some stuff later in the month, as I promised last week, of Marion Weinstein and Marion Woodman and Clarissa Pinkola Estés. But today we're going to lead off the month with our own founder, Ernest Holmes. And in the preparation of this series, some very interesting things have happened in terms of synchronicities of material. For instance, I mentioned Marion Weinstein, going to get into her work in 2 weeks, but I'm reading a book of hers that I read years ago. She crossed my mind when I was thinking about the October series, and so I pulled this book down from my bookshelf and I'm reading through it. And she says some stuff in there. Did I tell you this already last week? I told somebody, but I don't think it was the room. She has some stuff in there, and it's vaguely familiar. She's talking about manifestation. She says there are two kinds of manifestation. One is kind of synthetic, and the other is natural. She says one form of manifestation is you try to attract stuff to you, and then you have it, and you keep it, And the other form of manifestation is way more organic, and it's the idea that we're all in this together. And you don't have to just scrape together your little pile of good, but that somehow everything you do benefits everybody else and everything they do benefits you. So I'm reading her saying this, and I'm thinking, not only do I agree with this wholeheartedly, but it's also really familiar. So what do? I come to the end of the page and she references David Spangler, who was the subject of the series in August. I didn't know she'd read his work. Well, she's all over him. She's all over him. She loves his stuff, you know, and they were contemporaries. So I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Well, then another thing happened. We had a practitioner meeting this past week. We've had 4 nights where we've met practitioners and ministers, and we've been doing treatment together, which is really cool, on Zoom, you know. And so I thought, well, I need to bring something to the party. So what I did was I brought this treatment that we have handed out here in print form for years. We'll get back to that when we start printing things again. We'll have a big literature rack, you know. But this treatment was a treatment, and if any of you are unfamiliar with that term, it means prayer. Okay, it's an affirmative prayer. This treatment was given by Ernest Holmes at the dedication of a church in California, in El Monte, California. And we adopted it and adapted it here at Creative Life and changed the name of El Monte to ours, you know. And so I found this thing in the computer, and I thought, let me bring this to the meeting with the, so I did, and I read it, and we all sat with it, and it's a lovely little thing, you know. Well, meanwhile, have I lost you yet? Meanwhile, I'm thinking about a statement Holmes made that we're fourth dimensional beings, and I'm going to get into that in bulk in a minute, that we're fourth dimensional beings. And I looked up where he said that, and where he said that was right at the time when he was giving the dedication to the El Monte Church of Religious Science. And it all ties in together. Now maybe this doesn't make a lot of sense to you, but it's an otherworldly kind of thing, just like when I say that most of the people who attend this center are invisible to you now. Had I said that 30 years ago, you'd have thought I was nuts. But now it's like, yeah, I get it. They're sort of out there. So there are invisible hands working on things. There are invisible minds pulling things together, not just for the presentation of talks on a Sunday by me, but in everybody's life. Do you believe in guardian angels? Do you believe in guardian angels? Have you given up believing in guardian angels because it seemed kind of Disney-esque, you know, or maybe you associate it with a religion that you're no longer a part of, and you thought, oh, I don't want, because guardian angels always kind of came with a hook, you know, they watched you and they sort of judged, that being angels and all, you know, coming at it from this sort of perfect heavenly place, they watched you, and you kind of shook them off maybe after a while. But why? Because you can use all the help there is. You can take all the help there is. Do you believe in leprechauns? Say, well, I'm not Irish. You don't have to be Irish. You don't have to be anything. Do you believe in elemental spirits? Do you believe in fairies and things? You say, oh, that's silly. Or you get all clever and you say, well, prove it to me. I want to see unretouched photos. You know, I want to see absolute rock-solid proof that these things exist. A child doesn't ask that. A child says, bring it on. I welcome all friends. I welcome all manner of support in my life. So would you like to have guardian angels? How about if you had guardian angels that were unintrusive? They didn't mess with you. They didn't move you around, you know. But they saw what you were into, what you were interested in, and they said, well, here, let me provide you with some more information and some more, and they lead you, and you fall into conversations with people, or you meet strangers that you have something in common with. You find people, and you can do this, I know now on the internet, of course, you know, people you went to school with a million years ago, but it's much cooler when you do it without the assistance of tech, because it tells you that there's something back of the tech that's always been there, and the tech is just the latest iteration of this. The tech is the way intuition shows up. It's the way psychic awareness shows up in life now, in a way that everybody can buy into. And they say, of course I can search for this thing, and this mind that I'm working with is going to pull it out of the ethers, you know. But that's always been possible to those who believed. To those who believed. So where Holmes is going with this, in his book, Anatomy of Healing Prayer, which, to confuse you further, is now contained in a book called the Ernest Holmes Papers. There are 3 volumes of this, Ideas of Power and the Philosophy of Ernest Holmes, are the other 2, and all 3 of these are now under one cover. But this is the original version of this, the Anatomy of Healing Prayer, where he talks about our being 4th dimensional beings. So you've got the 3 dimensions of space, you know, breadth, length, and width. You've got the dimensions of space, time, and materiality, and there's a dimension beyond that. There's a dimension beyond that in which we operate. You know what? That dimension is our home. That dimension is our home. Let me ask you something real simple. You were born, right? There was a time when you were not in physical form on this earth. There's even a date stamp on that. There are documents to that effect. They're now digitized and stuff, you know. When you came into being, a record was made, and you carry this, well, you don't necessarily carry it around with you, it's probably not a good idea, but you have it someplace where you can find it. And it's called your birth certificate. And of course, there'll come a time nobody wants to think about at the other end of the experience, and there'll be documentation about that too. Well, in between those brackets, you exist in this material world. But clearly, you were somewhere before you were here. And we all like to believe there's somewhere we're going to be when we leave here. So what is here? So what is this that we're doing here? It's an excursion. It's an adventure. We have incarnated. We have incarnated. You know what incarnation means? We have become flesh, literally meat. We have become flesh. We have entered into a corporeal experience, starting out little bitty baby and expanding out and now walking upright, and we've figured out how to do all kinds of things, and we're clever and maybe even athletic, you know, and we can do cartwheels across the room, all in this corporeal experience, but it's not our essential nature. Our essential nature is much greater than all of this. And so sometimes we feel limited inside the self that we appear to be. We say there are obstructions to things. I want to be everywhere all at once. I want to know everything there is to know. I want to be all over the map. But I can't be, because I'm here, because I'm localized in this particular self. And the part of us that's longing for something greater than what we seem to be experiencing is the part of us that remembers home. Now, about this home, about this 4th dimensional home, it's not a sad thing that it's not here, because it really is here. It just takes a shift in awareness to realize that we never really left home. It's kind of like, I don't know, this is not a good metaphor, but it came to me anyway. It's sort of like a travel trailer. We take our home with us. It's like an RV. We take our home with us wherever we go. We take our spiritual sense with us. But do we remember to remember? Now, when I heard that Hurricane Ian was taking the track that it was, and that it was going to hit, it hit Cuba, and we had Fiona hit Puerto Rico a couple of weeks ago. Whenever I hear these things, whenever I hear of any trouble, and I'm not the only one who does this by any means here, but when I hear of any trouble, I go to a place in myself that's never known trouble. You see? And this is taken training, because otherwise I would go to Harvey, and not the rabbit, and I would go to Ike. I would go to, when I hear that people are without power for a week to 10 days, I would think of when we were without power for a week to 10 days. All of us who lived in this area in 2008. I would think about how driving to the center, every telephone pole on Spring Stubner was down, like this, across the road. I would think even further back than that, Hurricane Alicia, back in 83 or 84, when all the billboards on 45 were twisted to the ground. The blimp base over here was blown up, by this thing. And I would go into horror stories like that. And I would live in that. And I would think, oh God, how awful and how miserable and I do that like I just did, right? I just told you a bunch of stuff you didn't necessarily need or want to hear. Because that's the human aspect of things, but we relate. We relate. Somebody says, well, I went in the hospital. We think when we were in the hospital. Somebody says, I have this kind of problem. We want to sympathize. We want to sympathize, and that's not a bad thing at all, but it's not treatment. It's not spiritual work. Spiritual work is I don't go to the memories of storms or stories of storms or any of the rest of this. Spiritual work is I go to the place that's never known a storm, never had a storm, never had anything but a beautiful sunny day. And there is such a place. And that's our home. So I get a glimpse of home and I bring it back into today. And you know what? It helps. Doesn't it help me? That would be selfish and really kind of gnarly if it was just, well, I feel better about what's going on in Florida. Well, I'm not there. I mean, come on. But it helps Florida. It helps all beings everywhere. It is a blessing to all beings to go to a place in consciousness where nothing has ever been wrong. That's the fourth dimension of us. The fourth dimension is outside of space and time. Ernest Holmes made the point again and again. He said, we used to have a lot of fun with this. He says in the textbook or someplace, he says, if James Brown is in Los Angeles and you are in Chicago and you're treating for James Brown, it makes no difference. And whenever we bring that up in class, we'd say, no, and James Brown says, I feel good. Like I knew that I would now. He makes the point again and again that there's no distance in spirit. We're working outside of space and time. So there's no distance between here and Chicago or the other side of the world. There's also no time, which means you can heal your own past. You can heal your own past. Earth can heal its own past. Can you imagine this? Humankind can heal its own past. What does it have to do that? Well, it has to get real about its present, for one thing, and then take it to the place in consciousness where nothing not only has ever been wrong, but nothing ever could be. And I bring that up in the context, too, of where you hear, well, God doesn't judge. That we believe in this place that God doesn't judge. Have you heard of those people on the Spring Stoop near there who think God doesn't? God doesn't, it isn't that God doesn't judge like God is too cool to judge. God is too evolved to judge. God is too nice to judge. God can't judge. God can't distinguish something as being outside of itself, or it would stop being God. If God said, well, there's me and my people, and then there's you and yours, well, pretty soon you're in a dualistic system. You might as well have a devil. If you're going to do that, you might as well have, 50 or 1 million different systems all competing for each other, but that's not how it works. There's one life, and that life is God or spirit or source, and that life is all the life there is. So in that one life, it's been said there are many mansions, and you're one of those mansions, you see. But your nature is greater than the experience that you're having or can have in any particular moment of it. It is the what they now call the through line. It's the through line of your life, okay? It's the plot source of you. It's the continuity of you from pre-birth to post-mortem. It's that life of you that's running, and you glimpse this thing from time to time, and all it does to you is sing. All it does to you is say sweet and wonderful and supportive things, and then you internalize that, or sometimes you bat them away, and you say, no, that's too good to be true, or I'm too grown up to believe in that, or I'm too clever, or words to that effect. So it's your choice. It's a judgment you can make. Are you having a good day today? Notice that how much of that, the answer to that question is a judgment. Am I having a good day today? I don't know. Well, let me measure it and quantify it, and take out my wallet, see how much money I have, and is that a cough? Am I getting, are those liver spots on my, you know. Am I getting, does my car have a knock under the hood? On and on and on. Let me measure all the different ways that I can defeat my fourth dimensional reality. Keep it contained, keep it harnessed, you know, behind this good. So I want to read to you this treatment that draws out of the fourth dimensional reality that Holmes wrote, and I'm going to put our name in it, and I'm doing this because it's a cool thing to hear, and also because it is our birthday month at Creative Life. 37. That's a nice age, 37. Are you 37 yet? Have you become 37 yet? Some of you laugh, ha, ha, ha. I haven't seen 37 in a million. Well, okay, 37 is a good age. What isn't, right? We are speaking the word for, I'm going to call it a church because he does. We are speaking the word for a new church in Spring, Texas. Now we are setting up a church in consciousness in Spring, Texas at 5326 Spring Stubner Road. This address is known in mind, or it couldn't be named. Therefore, when we say this, everything that knows anything knows where it is. It is at the point of our perception, that is all. And since time comes out of the timeless and we evolute it at will, we are evoluting it for Sunday morning. Therefore, when we specify Sunday morning time and place, we create the time that will be at that place for that purpose. That is the way it works. That is the way everything works. Consequently, our treatment is for that occasion and nothing else, and it has to operate on that occasion. And it will bring every person there who can be helped by being there. We don't want to waste anyone's time. It will bring everyone there who can be best served there. It will bring everyone there who can be made whole by being there. Therefore, we want to get whole ourselves so that when people come, they can be made whole. We want to let down the doorway from wholeness that heals unwholeness, so that all the power that there is will be there Sunday morning, and all the presence and all the love and healing power and all the light and all the joy and everything that is spontaneous and happy. And children will play there in the garden of God, where the eternal light shines and where there is no darkness, and they will sing. And they will dance, and they will have joy and life, and even this place that is provided will not be adequate to hold them. They shall come from north and south and east and west, and this consciousness which we now have shall operate there with these other people who understand what we are doing. We are operating it. Everyone who comes in there, the healing power of that consciousness and this consciousness and that occasion will flow through them into perfect light, into perfect joy, and into perfect action, into complete gladness. I wouldn't give a nickel for a well person who isn't glad. I would rather have a corpse that is happy. He's quoting somebody there. He's got it in quote marks. At least we will get some kick out of it. This is not a droll thing. This is not a sad thing. This is not a weary thing. This is something that sings. There is ever a song somewhere, my dear. There is ever a song, and we must sing it. And I would have life and animation and enthusiasm, that all the energy and action and power that there is in the divinity of every person coming there shall vibrate with light and life and be bound together with love and made whole, because it is whole. We know that the shackles shall drop from the feet of pain, and this word being the presence and the power and the activity of the living Spirit within us. It is absolute for this occasion, and we accept it in joy, and we are grateful for the privilege of speaking it, and we love it. Now, we have a pretty good consciousness right here. Let's speak it for every church and religious science and every practitioner. For every word that goes out on the air or anywhere else, there is healing, there is wholeness, and there is joy. Now let's turn back to the center. The only thing we shall ever really know is the center within ourselves and its relationship to all that is. This is the life within. We make it the law of our own being, each individually, that everything one touches shall be made whole right now. Wherever one walks, there is the light of heaven. Now let's not say this is too good for me or I'm not good enough for it. The light is there anyway, and all we are doing is recognizing it. And it is there, and we are that, and we can't help it. So we may as well accept it and drop everything out of thought that denies it. Everything we touch is quickened into action and into life and into joy and peace and into wholeness. Now let's accept the abundance. It belongs to the universe. Let's not name it as dollars and cents. It can be dollars and cents and houses and whatever you want it to be. But unless there is something to take this form, there won't be any form. So we can know that everything we do prospers. Now this includes everything. And so it is. So, okay, a lot of material there. I'm not going to keep you much longer. I want to roll this out to you. Everybody look at your watches now. See if I'm lying. Set your timer. When I finished reading that in the little meeting that we had on Tuesday, we all did kind of a round robin treatment like we do. And it was about you, and it was about this place. It was about service really to the world. And what came to me, and I think I said it then, but if I didn't, I want to say it now. What came to me is this, that if you look for the basic, like lowest common denominator of a thing to treat about, you really want to try to get to cause rather than effect. You really want to try to get to cause. What's the cause? And if the cause were changed, what would things look like rather than just rearranging the effects, you know? So it's like if you're in a relationship and you have conflict or something in it, you get to, it's not really about that person and it's not really about this issue. You tend to find it has to do with you felt disrespected before, or, you know, this goes back a ways. Everything has sort of a causal nature to us. So in looking at this center and the work that it does and getting to a causal place in mind there, what I came up with this and what I'm treating about is this. And that is for this center and every person in it, and every person who teaches in it, every person who enunciates anything into the air through it, does so in the clearest possible manner to articulate the science of mind without obstruction, without impediment, and without delay. To every person who would hear it. I love what he puts in there. We don't want to waste anyone's time. We don't want to waste anyone's time. There aren't a lot of spiritual organizations who say that, look, we don't want to waste your time. A lot of them are like, come here. You need this. Now read. Now study. Now pray. We're like, we don't want to waste your time. If you're interested in this stuff, we've got it, and man, have we got it. We've got it aplenty. We've got it coming out our pores, you know. But if you're not into this, God bless, and we're not mocking you behind your back. Well, that person. No, it's like go be happy. Go be happy. You drove down a street coming here today that's lined with spiritual centers, didn't you? You go around every place you look. This is a really spiritual center-oriented kind of part of the world we're in. Okay? And all of these people are getting what I drive past the Catholics and I drive past the Baptists and their parking lots are, you know, and they're great, good for them. I love them. And I listen to my own fourth dimensional self. And I listen to the divine as I interpret it for the direction in my life. So what? And so do they. So, meanwhile, for the people who are into this, who are interested in this, and who feel they will benefit by it, we owe you a direct message, unimpeded by anything, and that contains continuity and conformity to the idea of there being one life, no matter what. So that from week to week and age to age, you don't come here and we say, well, last week God was all there is, but this week we're not so sure. God may be 80% of all there is or something, you know. It's not the stock market, happily, where it rises and falls. No. So there's a continuity in the message, and so this is what I'm treating about, is that message is out there, and it's unimpeded, and it's unhesitatingly presented into the world by all of us who are doing this, which I think is pretty much happening already, and it doesn't mean that you can't treat about something that's already going on and say, I'd like more of it. So that's, right? So this is this is not a corrective thing. Sometimes you put stuff in there and it's like, you know, you're kind of alluding to the existence of a problem. There is no problem. This message is getting out. But there's somebody out there who could use a sense of self that might awaken with the next word that's said, the next prayer that goes out, the next reading that Reverend Lisa or Reverend David do on Facebook, which they've been doing every day since March of 2020. David just got back from Europe. And in Europe, where it's 6 hours later, he did his readings every day and pre-scheduled them on Facebook. Nobody in the world would have said, David, you're a bad person for going on vacation and taking a break from these daily readings, but he wouldn't have it, you know. And so this is an example of the commitment that is had to these teachings, to getting them out there. So what I invite you to think about this week, before you come back next week and we get into Marion Weinstein and Marion Woodman and Clarissa Estés and some more Ernest Holmes and some other things too, I really wanted to laser in on the idea today, and hope I have, that you are a fourth dimensional being, and I'd like you to feel like you are as far as you can go with that. Maybe you'll make it into mid-afternoon, maybe you'll make it to midweek thinking about that. That I am from a higher dimension than just my body. I'm from a higher dimension than just my career, even than my relationships, even than my goals, dreams, and ambitions. I'm from a higher place. I'm from a place of absolute unbroken connection to my source. And when I remember my connection to my source, everything in these three dimensions falls into place, as if by magic. Problems work out before you even identify them as problems. And you realize, oh, that could have been a thing, that could have been a situation, but it healed itself on its way to me, okay? You say and do the right thing, life becomes much easier, and your body feels better. You have more energy, your food digests better, your metabolism slows down. Everything clears up, everything positions you to be the most effective being you can be. Why? Because you've checked in with home. You've checked in with the home that you're from. So let's know together now. One life, one power, one presence. It's all right here, happening in and through and as each one of us. And I feel it and I know it. And I know it about everyone within the sound of my voice, here in this room, here behind this camera, out there in the world. I affirm and know that right now each one of us easily and naturally feels our spiritual nature, our divine nature, that carried us into this world and actually made this world for us to step into. And I affirm and know that it's easy for each one of us to remember who we are and not become enmeshed in ideas of mortality and temporality and spatiality and all the little fences and roadblocks and things that we put up around ourselves to keep ourselves constricted, and we imagine to keep ourselves safe. Because we're grander than this, we're mightier than this. We are of the angelic choir. And I claim that it's easy for each one of us to feel this, because it is our nature. And it's been waiting to be felt. It's been waiting to be acknowledged, waiting to be lived. And this idea travels with us as we go through this first week of October of this year, through this pleasant weather, into our activities, the plans we laid down before that are now coming to fruition, and in all the goals and dreams that we do possess about the future. The through line to all of these is the great I am presence. I am that I am, and I am astonished by it. For this knowing and its manifestation in form everywhere I turn, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done, and so it is.
And so it is. Conversations to be had and just some love to be shared amongst us all. And speaking of love, as our ushers make their way to the back, I want to thank you for providing your love. The gift of your presence here, whether virtually or whether in the room, the gift of your love and energy that you provide to us, and the gift of your monetary donations. What you give to this center helps us to be here and to be here for you. So thank you. Thank you for everything you give. Thank you for everything you do. We're so grateful for you. And with that, I invite you now to say with me, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
So, and I just have this note that I find really funny. That our theme for the month is to be astonished. And when I did my daily reading today, which Beyond Appearances is a collection of daily guides from, I won't say how long ago it was, but long enough ago they collected them into a book. Well, my daily guide reading today was our own Jesse Jennings. And the title is I Sense Excitement. So I'm just like, you want to talk about continuity there. And that's what it is. And it makes me think I may have a title for my November.
That'll work.
What's in an E? What's in an E?
What's in an E?
Because you've already mentioned it today.
E?
Yeah, what's in an E? The letter E.
The letter E, okay.
What's the difference between having an awful life and an awful life? What's in an E? Mm-hmm. Now you have a month to think about it. And fortunately for me, so do I. So, but on that note of sensing excitement, on that note of fall, because there's a lot about fall that's really cool. I don't know if you know, but the Renaissance Festival starts up next week. So, yeah, there's a lot going on. So I'm going to invite you into that fall energy, into that carnival of fall. Because you remember when fall carnivals were a thing? You would bob for apples and, play all those fall-related games and make corn dolls. I don't know if anybody did that. I've made like one in my entire life. But that's what we're looking at. We're looking at that fall energy. It's about falling temperatures and rising expectations. Ooh, there's an E word. Ooh, I just gave myself an idea. Now I got to go write it down, which means I need to pray quick, right? So know with me that there is one life, one presence, one power, one love, and that each and every one of us live that life. We contribute to that life. We are that presence. How many times have you answered somebody's prayer and never known about it? That is you as the presence. We are that love. We are the channel through which that love, which that power enters into this dimension. And so as I know that, I invite you to hold all of the people in all of the places where Ian has crossed paths, for the people of Cuba, for the people of Florida, for the people of the Carolinas. Hold them in that presence, hold them in that love. As the connections are reconnected, as the resources are moving about to get to the people that need them, we hold them in that love, we hold them in that light, we hold them because we know. We know that there is one love and that they are held in it. And in that love, anything is possible. And I am grateful to know that. I am grateful for a teaching that teaches that. I am grateful for a place that teaches that. And I am grateful for our ministers and our practitioners and our musicians and our tech people and our technology that allows us to broadcast this around the universe. Because trust me, it's not staying just here. And I'm grateful just because it feels good to be grateful. And fall's a great time to be grateful. That's why we have Thanksgiving, to remind us. And I relax, release, and know that it is so. And so it is.
Say it with me now. Something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my
I
mind.
feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I
I
am.
choose it.
I choose it.
Trust it.
I trust
I
it.
use it.
I use it.
What else?
And I love it.
So it is.
And so it is.